Hey guys, what's up? It's Mokozonki, and I know it's been a while, but it's finally time for the last game of this season in the Pelicans MyGm. So, we're going to be going up against the Spurs, one of our nemesises, probably my least favorite team in real life. I'm not a big fan of the Spurs, but we're going to be playing them, and hopefully it'll be a good game. Hopefully we'll win, and we also had a goal to lose no more than 21 games, and we were 60-21. So if we win this game, we complete the owner goal. If we lose, we fail the owner goal. So there's a little bit of stakes here. We've already got the #1 seed locked up because I believe the Thunder ended their season with either 58 or 59 wins. They were the second best team in the NBA. Still a lot of wins, but we already had the #1 seed in the playoffs, just barely locked up by a hair over the Thunder. So we get to play this Spurs team and at home for the final game of the season, and really all that's at stake is completing that owner goal. But still, I do want to win the game with some momentum to go into the playoffs, and also just because I really don't like the Spurs, and it's very nice to beat teams that you don't like very much. So unfortunately, the Spurs team has had Duncan and Ginobili both retire, and Tony Parker has gotten to the age where his overall starts to decrease every year. So this is a much worse Spurs team than you'd see in real life. They have not signed LaMarcus Aldridge in this game, luckily. They still have Danny Green, and Kawhi Leonard's pretty good, but Tony Parker has definitely faded to the point where he's no longer a star. We would get our day started off to a nice start here with Chris Middleton hitting a 3 in transition, and slight spoiler, he's not done with that yet. He's going to be doing a lot of that in this game. And Drummond gets the steal off of the shaky ball handling, and then Anthony Davis would be the recipient of a lob in transition. He would dunk that over Danny Green, who just could do nothing to stop it, and Anthony Davis was just going crazy because they were trying to guard him with like Boris Diaw and Kawhi Leonard. The Spurs basically had no one to match up with Davis, and that's what sucks for them is Duncan is retired. They lost that really good defensive presence that they had, and then Chris Middleton shoots another 3 in transition again, and he hits that, and he is not done. Oh boy, he would have quite the game this particular game. And Davis once again just cutting the rim. Kawhi Leonard just can't guard him. He's too small, and the Spurs don't have anyone that can guard Anthony Davis. They've been putting Kawhi Leonard on him most of the time because, yeah, putting on someone like Boris Diaw on Anthony Davis just is not going to work. Patty Mills hits a 3 off of the bench for the Spurs, and then nearly gets it blocked, but they kick it out to Patty Mills, who is the trailer. Very nice ball passing and ball movement there from the Spurs, a very Spursian play. And they would finish that, and now we were running the break with Tyreke Evans, and I see Drummond wide open beneath the hoop with only Patty Mills to stop him, so that's an easy 2 points. And lots of transition points are happening early in this game. We're getting a lot of easy buckets off of the Spurs because they're a team that shoots a lot of 3s, so you get a lot of long rebounds and a lot of transition opportunities. Marco Bellinelli would hit the 3. He's also no longer a Spur. I believe he's now on the Kings. A lot of these players have switched positions because in real life the Spurs just signed LaMarcus Aldridge, so they had to give up quite a few pieces in order to make the salary work. And we lob it here to Thomas Robinson, who's just our freak athlete off the bench. Anytime he's running to the hoop, it's awesome because you just lob it up there, and more often than not, he's going to finish over Boris Diaw once again, who's just not having a very good day defensively. And Wilson Chandler gets his man frozen on the break, who is the rookie that the Spurs drafted. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but one of the decent players off of the draft class. And then Kyle O'Quinn would catch a lob as well, and we're just throwing lobs all over the place. Kyle O'Quinn, not the most athletic dude, and then here comes the hypest out of the lobs so far, Andre Drummond, out of bounds alley-oop thrown by Anthony Davis, and he would catch that and dunk that. I believe that's 3 alley-oops in a row that we finished over the Spurs, just completely demoralizing their bigs who can do nothing to stop the onslaught. And this is what I love about having 2 really athletic big men and then starting, and then we have another super athlete off the bench in Thomas Robinson. And Kyle Quinn, not so much with the athlete, and then Chris Middleton would hit back-to-back 3s and just get this offense running so fluidly, and there's just nothing the Spurs can do to defend this right now. And Patty Mills would pull up for a weird long-range jumper, but he hits that. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense that he fired it. And Chris Middleton, once again, he's in transition and he's hot, and he hits another 3. He was 5 for 7 in this first half with 15 points off of 3s, which is just ridiculousness. And then here we have the fast break back down in the post as Anthony Davis would get the advantage over Kyle Anderson and score. So at halftime, we're definitely rolling at this point, 48-35 lead. So already a 13-point lead, a huge lead in the rebounds because Andre Drummond has just been killing the Spurs in the glass, and the game's leading scorer is Middleton at this point with 15 points. So the Spurs are really rattled after coming out into the second half being down big, and also against an unstoppable offensive juggernaut who they have had no answers against so far, and they are just really missing Duncan with that post defense. Boris Diaw once again just falling for the ball fake and then getting dunked on by Anthony Davis, and he's just struggling so much to stay out there at all. I was very surprised that the Spurs didn't put Kyle Anderson in a bit more because he was not much better on defense, but at least he was helping out the offense by being out there when he was on the court, and he was one of the lone bright spots about the Spurs. And then another lob up to Drummond. He would catch that in traffic, and even though there's Spurs players all around, they're just too short, and Andre Drummond, the super athlete, 6'11", I believe, player, and then once again with the reverse dunk in transition, Andre Drummond is going off at this point, and we're having a rare, really good Andre Drummond game. We have not had a whole lot of them, and Kelly Oubre, who is the rookie that I was talking about earlier that the Spurs drafted, would hit a three there. He's going to be a pretty nice piece, but the Spurs team is probably in rebuilding. Right now, they're like a fringe playoff contender, maybe a 7 or 8 seed. Definitely not a great team with their best player in Duncan retiring, probably best franchise player of all time, and Kawhi Leonard really having to pick up some of the slack. And he's a really good player. He's not the kind of guy who can go out and score 30 points a night, though I don't think so. The Spurs are looking to get another star so that they can once again become a perennial title contender. So bad pass here, and Kyle Anderson would pick that off, and then he's running transition, and Tiago Splitter would finish. One of the few times that Tiago Splitter actually did some scoring himself and wasn't just getting scored on by either Davis or Drummond. And one thing that I've really learned a lot recently is Drummond is a very vital part of this team. For a while, we were doing a lot of threes and a lot of drives to the hoop with the guards, and that's what I was basing my offense around, and Drummond wasn't doing a whole lot, and I considered benching him, and I tried a couple of games playing with either no Drummond or very little of Drummond, and the defense was just awful compared to what it is when he's out on the floor. And sometimes Drummond has these games like this game where he just goes off and gets a ton of lobs and dunks, and he's just an exceptional player. So I found that even though he doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, kind of like in real life with one of those really good centers that doesn't necessarily score a ton of points like your DeAndre Jordan, Drummond is a lot like that, but he's really important for the team's success, so I'm very glad we have him. He's also the second highest paid player on the team, I believe, after Anthony Davis, so that's important too. And here, to end off the game, Anthony Davis would get the steal, and he would finish over Tony Parker. So not a whole lot of suspense here for this game. We ended up winning fairly handily, but again, remember this is a very middling Spurs team at this point, and I'm not even sure if they make the playoffs. If they do, it's as a lower seed. They very well may miss the playoffs, though, just because their roster is not what it has been in the past. So for this game, Davis would be the player of the game with 30 and 11. Very nice game from him. And Drummond with 24 and 13. That's what I love seeing from him. Chris Middleton, unfortunately, did not score in the second half. I believe he went 0 for 4 in the second half, so I didn't go to him a whole lot. Drew Holiday didn't get a lot of work done, but 13 assists. Really well running that offense. Tyreek Evans with the triple-double-ish numbers. He never quite makes it to a triple-double. I believe I've only had one triple-double with him in all the games I've played with him, but he always gets fairly close in just about every game. So Kawhi Leonard had 25 on a fairly decent night, but other than that, no one outside of Kyle Anderson stood out for the Spurs. So at this point, the regular season is over, and Kevin Durant earned the MVP. I was holding out hope for Davis, but the problem is Davis does not have much of a chance to win MVP just because we run such a team-oriented offense that he doesn't score nearly as much as the other superstars does. He's only averaging like 21 a game. He could easily be averaging 30 if his supporting cast was really bad, but Davis's teammates are so good that he just doesn't score as much as the other MVP candidates. I ended up winning Executive of the Year for the second straight year because we had a 61 and 21 record, best in the NBA, and Davis unfortunately moved to the second team. He was trumped by LeBron and Durant at the forward spots, I believe. So that's unfortunate, but again, his stats are not as great as the other superstars, and that's okay. I'd much rather be winning than having Davis winning individual rewards. So our owner wants us to absolutely win the conference finals, and he hopes for an NBA championship as well. And that's what we're going to be going for, is the championship. We will be the first overall seed in the playoffs, and we'll be matched up against the Warriors. And it does look like the Spurs made the playoffs as a 7 seed, so that's okay. So in the next game, you'll see our series versus the Warriors and see how that goes. It's funny because in real life this year, the Warriors played the Pelicans in the first round, only the seedings were switched. The Warriors were first overall and the Pelicans were 8th. And the Warriors ended up sweeping the Pelicans, so let's see if we can return the favor in the next episode here and possibly sweep the Warriors and give them a taste of their own medicine. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Farewell.